there, welcome back. I'm going to do three documentaries just now. I'm going to split the videos up into two parts. Because the first documentary is about music and the other two are about film distribution. So it's easier just to split them apart so that if you're interested in music one, you can watch that. And if you're interested in film one, you can watch that. So it's just simpler, even though they're essentially... I'm shooting it as one long video really, I'm just splitting them up. Right, the first one then is the Beastie Boys story, which is a film made by Spike Jonze. It's just been released. It's meant to be a bigger release, but because of coronavirus, it's been limited. But it is out, and you can find it in iTunes. It's wonderful. It's really good. I like the Beastie Boys. I'm not a massive Beastie Boys fan, but I really enjoy their music. So it's like one of those things is like I couldn't tell you a ton of information about them. I just like listening to the songs, really. I'm not an insane fan or something. I just like them, really. But I didn't know that much about them. Beyond one of them started a terrible Hollywood movie in the 80s, which is brought up in this documentary and mocked. So this is them, because one of the founders has died, and the other two survivors decided to write a book and do a documentary about the Beastie Boys, probably while they're still around, so that it's been documented what happened and what the progress was. So what they do, instead of doing a talking head thing, they actually hired out a concert hall and did these presentations. I'm not sure how long they did them for, maybe a week, I don't know, but they filmed one of them anyway. So they probably did a few just to get up and running. Now they filmed one. So Spike Jonze helped him write it, and he filmed it, and he put together the actual film. So they filmed the stuff in front of the audience, and also they put in clips from the Beastie Boys past as well. It would actually help you understand what went on, which was also being projected onto the audience as they were listening to them talk. So it was a theatrical experience, but we're seeing it, but it's also shot by a filmmaker who knows that a film is getting shown to an audience as well. So it's nice and cheeky because it gets around the idea of a biopic by presenting it as people talking to an audience and being honest the fact it's a show. Because a lot of biopics are so pious about this. This is the fact, this is the truth. This one's actually much more like, this is a show, we'll tell you the story. We're telling a mass audience a story, so that's the way we're going to do it, and we're going to present it as a story to an audience. And so we're going to be a bit self-aware about it. But it works, it's nice and charming the way they do it. It allows the two surviving members to bounce off the audience and bounce off each other and be able to talk in a more naturalistic fashion rather than having talking heads talking to a camera and trying to get some energy going. Because in front of an audience and they've planned a monologue about their experience, they're performing. Because they're performers, they know how to perform, and it makes it both a performance where they're shaping it, but also allows them to be more relaxed and be themselves. Because that's what they've been doing for years, so this is probably the perfect place for them to actually explain themselves within the facade of, we're doing a performance, we're doing a presentation. So through the film, which lasts almost 2 hours, they talk about their experiences. They talk about how they started, how they met up, and they both the good and the bad of what they experienced over time. And it's a really interesting story because they peaked so early, and then they had to get over the peak and try and have a career. And that's what the story's really about, is them having to learn from mistakes and having to realise they've had so much success so early that it was kind of dangerous for them. So the story starts with them just being these three white boys who liked rap, they liked a lot of other type of music. They were hanging out a lot, skipping school because they didn't like school. They were hanging out with all these girls who were also musicians, and they were all wanted to be musicians. And so there was a band called the Beastie Boys with 4 members, not 3, because one of the members of the Beastie Boys was a girl to start with. But she didn't last long because the first band, the first manager or the first publisher said, you've got to get rid of her because she's a girl. You know, the Beastie Boys. This was Russell Simmons, who's had a lot of controversy about him recently. So they did, and obviously as they talk about this throughout the whole documentary, this is a thing that keeps playing through it. They feel a lot of guilt about that, they really do, because they felt it was a bit nasty, but they were so desperate to be published and to be heard that they caved in a way they probably shouldn't have caved. It's a thing that made them, but it's also a thing that kind of haunts them at the same time. So they always keep that front and centre, the fact that they made a horrible mistake early on, which they didn't really forgive themselves for. And that's what gives it humanity, really, because the film's about the mistakes more than anything else. The peaks are talked about, but the mistakes are also brought up. When you realise that the idea that you have to fight for your life to right to party, the big hit song that just bounced them from being like minor white rappers, sort of a joke type of thing, to being a massive hit and to touring all over the place. Because they started off being like opening acts for Madonna and Run DMC, and then suddenly that song broke and the Beastie Boys became a big thing on their own. And it was the song they chucked into the album at the last minute. They didn't think it'd be any good. And it was a song they started to hate pretty quickly because it was loved by the people they were mocking. And they started to fall into the trap of becoming like those people they were mocking during the tour where the Fight for Your Right to Party kind of tour, where they went around the world a few times and they were thought of as a public menace to everybody, and it was a Britain let them into the country type of thing, and so they were basically playing characters they weren't actually as people, but the line was getting blurred, and they were having fun, but they started to quickly get old. So after that, they kind of split up, and only started coming together a couple of months later after they all had time to unwind and get their bearings back, and then slowly they started to be who they were going to be. They were the Beastie Boys, but they were going to be a new version of the Beastie Boys. And that's where the story really starts. That's what it gets really interesting. The first 50 minutes is about them making the mistake of learning how to do everything, meeting people who were becoming important to promote them, but then realising they were a gimmick to even their managers. They weren't being taken seriously. They were a gimmick to be sold, but no one expected them to last very long. They were just get the money where you can and move on. They were just a joke. And then the rest of the film with them bouncing back from that, learning from that mistake, and then realising they had to actually learn their craft a lot better and work with people who were good at stuff that they weren't, and become humble again and actually get back to their roots and start to do the things they enjoy. And that's what the film's about. It's the idea of how people grow as they get older, how people change but don't change, how they... There are certain things that are you, but there's also elements you have to improve upon and things you have to learn from, and how you have to kind of push each other to get better. You have to actually own your mistakes and see clearly what your mistakes were if you're going to have a chance to move on. So we go through the second album, which was a disaster. No one cared, at all. Yeah, it was promoted hugely, and no one bought it because no one cared about it. So it was one of those things. And then it shows them bouncing back from that and actually starting to actually build a road studio and learn to go into the studio for a long time and try different things and fail into certain things, but actually build the music up to be music they like, and also learning from the mistakes of their friends and the death of one or two of their friends, and learning mortality and learning how to love as people rather than as pop stars, as images, and learning to separate that. So it becomes a very human story with kids who basically wanted to be musicians, got big too quick, but survived to tell the tale because they had enough common sense. Despite their antics, they had enough common sense to realise they were on the wrong path pretty early on and realise they had to pull back. But it's pretty honest with the mistakes. not only did they sell out, they also spent all the money they made selling out on their second album by overspending and not thinking anything through. So by the time they got to the third album, they were skint. You know, because they were having jokes about their manager for them saying, "You don't have any money left." You know that, right? So there's always a lot of mocking about their mistakes and how stupid they were when they were kids because they didn't know anything and they had to learn everything, and how one of them was very good at pushing them, and the other two had these weird angles that, so they were always working with each other and playing off each other. So Mike York, no, Adam York, who was the one who died, was the one apparently who was the Buddhist, and he was the one who was pushed them all the time. He was the most sort of self-motivated one. The other two weren't as much as that, but he pushed them, and they created something together that they worked better together than they did apart. So they learned that early on, and then they actually became a band because they knew that together they were better. So that's a really wonderful documentary. It's a very humane documentary about people getting older, learning from what they did wrong, but being, sort of also learning how to be honest with themselves and be inspired by what they like and not try and water it down for everyone else likes. Just do what they like, and some people like it, some people won't. But if they're more honest, they'll find their audience as they go, rather than trying to appeal to an audience that likes them for something they're not. So it's a really wonderful documentary presentation. I would urge you to try and see it. It's really well done, and I really enjoyed it. So go watch it. I'll be back soon with the other two documentaries all about film. Right, bye for now.